This is a Street Demon 625 CFM carburetor that I installed on a Oldsmobile 350 engines, rather mild engine. It does have the Edelbrock RPM intake manifold on it with the EGR access, or whatever you want to call it. The throttle linkage doesn't clear the EGR access, so I had to put a 3/4 inch spacer and a 1/2 inch spacer on top of the spread bore intake. The bottom spacer is a 3/4 inch aluminum spacer with this that goes spread bore down on the underside and square bore on the top side. Then I used a 1/2 inch plastic spacer that's oriented square bore down on top of the aluminum spacer and spread bore up on facing up. So the Demon carburetor is actually mounted on top of the spread bore size spacer. Also, now this carburetor replaced a QJet carburetor that had been on the car about 10 years. It was remanufactured, and the QJet was leaking and flooding out, and no matter what I did to it, I couldn't get those problems to cease. So I decided to try this Street Demon carburetor. Another thing I did was the movement of the throttle cable from idle to wide open throttle was a very short movement, much shorter than I was used to on the QJet. So I put a little adapter. I just took a flat piece of aluminum and manufactured a little adapter, which I bolted to. This is where the throttle linkage would normally hook up. So this little adapter is bolted into there. There's a little screw there to hold it in place, and this moves the adapter up further out from the rotation of the throttle, so that I've got a longer throw now that's more like the QJet was. The car's been sitting, it hasn't been started in about 2 weeks, so I'm going to start it up. It may cough and sputter. It'll have to crank a little bit to refill the fuel bowls. It may sputter for a second, but we will see how it goes. You're also going to hear the garage door opening as I run it up. I'll pump the gas pedal a few times to try to prime it. See how it goes. It's on fast idle, about 1100 RPM, and it will speed up a little bit as the engine warms up. Fuel pressure is set at about 4.5 psi through a regulator. The vacuum reads about 19 inches of mercury. At lower idle, The idle set about 750. It'll read about 18 inches of mercury there.